Hello, and welcome to the Epic Saga Society, the podcast that follows our two favorite epic sagas, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. I would like to introduce my co-host. He's an Ugnaught minor on Bespin, Carlos Alatorre.
Yeah, we're a really misunderstood group, so I'm glad we're getting some awareness here. Allow me to introduce my co-host. He is a sail barge repairman, and he moonlights with the Max Rebo band. So give him a hand, because he's pretty famous in the galaxy. Calvin Hamilton.
Hey, those sail barges aren't going to hover by themselves, and those bass lines for the band are funky, man. They're super funky. For today's episode, we are continuing our review of the Star Wars films, where today we'll be discussing Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. I just want to say this is my personal favorite Star Wars film. Have a lot to say. Extremely excited about our discussion today.
Yeah, this was a favorite of mine. I mean, it's still a favorite of mine. This was my favorite as a kid. It's been replaced, but it's still awesome. So this movie came out in 1983. So I'm assuming everybody who's listening to this has already seen it. So I will give a spoiler warning, but honestly, if you haven't seen this movie, then you don't know what we're talking about. So you got to go see it.
What are you even doing here if you haven't seen it? Why'd you click?
Yeah, for real. So no, we won't shame anybody. But with that, let's get into it. And I'll go ahead and start us off. That's cool. So a year after The Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader arrives at the second Death Star, which is floating and it's under construction above Endor. The second Death Star intended to be even more powerful than the first, so that's a scary thought. Now, Darth Vader is greeted by Commander Jar Jared, and Vader demands the project get back on schedule. Jar Jared tries to explain they're kind of short on manpower. We don't really have a lot of people. Like, come on, give us a break. And Vader's like, well, the Emperor's coming, so you better get to it. And he's like, the Emperor's coming here? Like, I thought it was pretty funny, that scene where he kind of just snaps into shape. And he agrees to double their efforts, which I was like, I don't know how you can double your efforts with very little manpower, but okay.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And I like how Vader's like, I hope so, because the Emperor's not as forgiving as I am. And it's like, bro, you ain't forgiving. You're choking people out.
Yeah. I, when I was watching this again, I was like, what does that even mean? What does the Emperor do? And then,
yeah, it's almost like after that scene in Empire where Luke takes off in the hyperdrive, it's almost like Vader's like, wow, I've become more forgiving since then. Like, I've become a lot nicer.
Exactly. I didn't kill anyone then, okay?
Yeah. So meanwhile, Luke and his friends are on Tatooine, and they're trying to rescue Han Solo from Jabba. I remember as a kid, I just felt so bad for R2-D2 and C-3PO. I was like, Luke is so mean. Why did he just send these two droids to just go get sacrificed in Jabba's ugly, like, gross den of iniquity? But
for real.
And R2-D2 does the holographic message.
Yeah. C-3PO is freaking out.
Yeah, he's like, this is the wrong message. And it's like, bro, he's clearly said Jabba. It's not the wrong message.
I know.
With the anxiety.
Even when they're first knocking, 3PO, he knocks like really quick, like, oh, there's no one here. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, bro.
There doesn't seem to be anyone here. Let's go back and tell Mr. Luke. Yeah. And so, yeah, that whole thing's funny. And, quick tidbit, Calvin, do you know what Jabba's palace used to be before Jabba moved in?
I do not.
It used to be, and this is canon, by the way, it used to be a monastery for the Bomar monks. Do you know what the Bomar monks are?
I also do not know that.
So you see a quick one when C-3PO and R2-D2 are coming and the camera's focused on them coming inside. It looks like a big mechanical spider with a glass bubble underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The glass bubble has a brain in it. So the Bomar monks believe that, like, they need to get into this meditative state that goes beyond the material self, beyond the physical self. And so what they do is they train for years, and when they reach a certain level, they actually remove their brains and put them in these jars so that they can contemplate stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then when you get past a certain level from that, they put the brain and they attach it to these mechanical bodies so they can still do things and they could still have access to the outside world, to the external world. But yeah, that's that whole thing. Pretty
That's a cool
weird, right?
nugget. That's really weird. It's super
Yeah.
cerebral. My
Yeah,
goodness.
there's multiple stories in the EU that talk about them, and they make them sound way more horrific than I described. But they're supposed to be like these holy, sacred, meditative monks. It's just really creepy. But they're pacifists. So Jabba just moved in and was like, I don't care about y'all. And they
Of
kind
course.
of still operate, and they operate like underground in like the areas that Jabba doesn't really care about.
Wow,
So
he pushed the poor monks out. Man, he's the worst.
yeah, just real quick, there's this fantastic book that is not canon. It's called Tales from Jabba's Palace. I read it when I was a kid, and some of the stories were really creepy, but they were all about like the thugs in Jabba's Palace. And they also,
Mm.
one of those stories was also about like Max Rebo Band and all that stuff. But one of them talks about how immediately after Jabba was killed and all the thugs were like, what do we do now? Like a lot of them are dead. Some survivors came back. Immediately all the Bomar monks just like came back and took over Jabba's palace. And anybody who was still there, they dragged them away and they basically turned them into monks, like took their brains out
No, what?
against their will.
That's dark.
Yeah.
That's so
I
dark. Oh my
was reading this
gosh.
like at 10 years old. Yeah. So it is just, yeah. So I kind of wish they had kept that in there, but anyway, small
Yeah.
nugget for everybody. So C3PO and R2D2, they play the message. Luke offers the droids as gifts in exchange for Han's release. Jabba's not having it. He refuses the deal, and he keeps the droids regardless. So this guy's not, has no scruples. He says Han is his favorite decoration. And then R2 is assigned to work aboard Jabba's sail barge, serving drinks, while 3PO becomes the translator. And of course, this all happens after they see that like droid torture chamber that I
Right.
thought was so like sad and also funny and completely unnecessary.
I was gonna
But
say completely unnecessary. They're droids. They're droids.
yeah,
Ugh.
there was a creepy story about the droid who does the torturing, and it talks about her because it's like a she, her perspective, and it's really strange. It's really,
Wow.
really strange. Her like goal is to like reach this level of like where she could perceive pain. So the only way she could perceive it is by trying to inflict pain on others. It's very strange.
It's
Anyway,
weird.
yeah. So that night, the Max Rebo band performs in Jabba's court. There's a whole new musical number, which I want to ask you, Calvin, what do you think about this musical number?
Listen, honestly, when I was rewatching this earlier today, I was like, this is funky. He's like, ah, louder, ooh, ye, day.
Yeah.
And they're singing like at the top of their lungs. You got like the funky bass line. I
Yeah.
really like listen to it.
I liked it, but I know a lot of people don't. So that's a
It was good
controversial
too.
take. Yeah. So when the slave dancer Ula resists Jabba's demands, he drops her into the Rancor pit where the Rancor devours her. And we don't see it, but we hear it, and it sounds terrible. Now
Mm-hmm.
later, Princess Leia, disguised as the bounty hunter Bosch, arrives with Chewbacca as a prisoner, and she bargains with Jabba for a reward. Now nobody knows that she is in the bounty hunter's clothes. And it's kind of interesting. Maz Kanata helped her steal, like, basically apprehend him and steal his armor so that she could have the armor of a credible bounty hunter. And they did this on
That's
Ord Mantell.
that's a really
Yeah.
cool nugget.
Yeah. I thought that was cool too. Now, after a tense moment involving a thermal detonator where she's like, I got one right here. What are you going to do about it? Jabba's like, oh, I like you. You're about to kill all of us. I like how inventive you are. It's like, dude, he's crazy.
Exactly.
So he imprisons Chewbacca, and he's like, let's talk. Let's make a deal. Now, that night, Leia sneaks into Jabba's chamber and frees Han from the carbonite. After revealing herself, they share a nice kiss, but then they're immediately captured. So she had no exit plan. Now, Jabba throws Han in with Chewie, which I guess could have been worse. He could have thrown Han blind in any place.
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes Leia as his newest slave, chaining her to his throne in her classic golden bikini. Now, question for you: why didn't he just kill Han with the Rancor?
I think that I think at this point, he hasn't necessarily sentenced Han to die yet. He's just, that doesn't happen until like Luke comes and he's like, oh, how dare you? I'm going to kill all of you. Right. And so I still think at this point, he wants to just keep Han as like a regular like hostage and make him do like whatever. Like, oh yeah, I have the great Han Solo. But then eventually he wants to cause Han, Luke, and Chewie as much suffering as possible. Like, you dare to cross me, you're gonna like get digested in the body or the stomach of a Sarlacc over the next millennia. So I think it's just about pain and just his own. What do you call that when someone's just sick and twisted? He's just twisted and sick. No more than that.
That's true. Yeah, they do describe him as the vile gangster, Jabba the Hutt, in the opening crawl.
Yeah, exactly. So next we see Luke. He arrives at the palace, and in one of my favorite scenes, when he walks in and he force chokes the Gamorrean guards effortlessly.
I don't know if he force chokes. Man, I don't know if he force chokes him. But
yeah, I'll ask you that question. So after he force chokes the Gamorrean guards, Bib Fortuna pulls up and tries to stop him from walking in. But Luke, again, effortlessly uses a Jedi mind trick to gain entrance. And at first, Jabba is refusing to negotiate. And so Luke is like, you can either profit from this or be destroyed. It's your choice, but I warn you, don't underestimate my powers. And looking at this in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't underestimate my guy Luke. You know, you should listen to him. This is your chance. And so what Luke does is, at this point, he's like, okay, there's no negotiating. He tries to grab a blaster with the Force, but Jabba is too quick, opens up a trapdoor beneath him, and Luke is dropped into the Rancor pit. Luke, because he's Luke, he kills the Rancor by crushing it with the gate, and he's brought back before Jabba, who sentences Luke, Han, and Chewie to death in the Great Pit of Carkoon so that they can be eaten by the giant Sarlacc. And I guess he just figures Leia can just stay there in her bikini, and be his slave. So she isn't sentenced like the three of them
really
are.
Gross.
Disgusting. And I've always wondered.
Yeah, like you're saying what I'm thinking.
When she first gets captured by Jabba, and he says, "We'll see about that." He sticks out his tongue. And then Leia's like, and then 3PO says, "Oh, I can't better watch." Better watch what? What does he do to her, Carlos?
I don't think he does anything in that moment. I think C-3PO is just being a little extra about that. Yeah.
So then, Jabba travels to the Sarlacc pit with his whole host aboard the sail barge. He has Leia, the prisoners, and R2-D2. He's serving drinks while the band is playing. Of course, Jabba needs his entertainment while he's on his way to the Sarlacc pit. And so it's so weird. He's still pulling Leia over to him. Like, he's like, "Oh, come here. Like, bro, you are obsessed with this human. You're a Hutt. What do you want? Relax." So when the group reaches the pit, Jabba has C-3PO announce their execution. Luke gives him one last warning, and you can just tell Luke, he seems to be in complete control still. He's like not bothered, and Han Solo is like, you're gonna die here, it's convenient. And then Luke is like, just stay close to Chewie. I've taken care of everything. Yes, you have, Luke. Yes, you have. And so Jabba laughs and orders the execution to proceed. Luke is pushed into the pit. He flips back onto the skiff, and then he had signaled to R2 to throw his lightsaber. Mind you, this is our first time seeing his brand new lightsaber. And he catches the lightsaber and then begins making short work of Jabba's guards. And Boba Fett, he joins the fight, but he's thrown off balance when Han accidentally activates his jetpack. And it's so funny because all the notoriety that Boba Fett
Yeah.
has for him to go out that way is just hilarious.
Yeah,
And so,
everything we know about Boba Fett,
yeah,
his whole history, everything, like we know this guy's a badass, and the way he went out, it's like, oh my god,
yeah,
what?
of all
How?
the ways,
Yeah.
really. And so, Fett slams into the barge and he falls into the Sarlacc. And meanwhile, there's like chaos. Luke is still fighting all of Jabba's guards. But Leia gets the upper hand on Jabba and she strangles Jabba with the chain that she's tied up to. And so R2D2 frees her, and then she rushes to the top, and they fight a little bit more. Luke gets injured, slightly injured. His hand gets shot at, and I'm like, when I'm watching this, I'm like, bro, like, why are you just holding up your lightsaber like that? I'm like, dude, move your hand. You're a Jedi.
Yeah.
But he gets shot at. Luke kicks the laser turret
Oh yeah.
thing.
It's like the turbo laser. He like hits the pedal or something.
Exactly. Kicks that, destroys the sail barge, and they regroup on the skiff. They pick up the droids with magnets, and they have successfully rescued Han Solo with all of their lives intact. So great opening sequence for Return of the Jedi. So Carlos, you mentioned it earlier, but I've got to ask you. There's a lot of controversy,
Geez. Come
and
on now.
Carlos, the fandom does not agree. The fandom is divided on this issue. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you: did Luke actually force choke those Gamorrean guards when he walked in? Yes or no?
No, he didn't
Ugh,
actually force
what?
choke the guards. He would
What?
never do that. Okay. The reason I don't think he did, I think he just mind controlled them. He put the illusion in his head that they were struggling or suffering or something, but I don't think he did an actual choke. First of all, they're not reaching their throats. And don't
They
give me that they
are,
have short arms. No, they're
bro.
touching their chest. So,
What?
why are you
When you're
to the
choking,
audience? Calvin's giving me a
everything is
weird look.
constricted. When you're choking,
No,
everything, your whole like
no, it's
airway is
not.
constricted, and it goes
What?
down to your chest. Yes, it is.
No,
Like you've never
geez,
had
that's
been
not.
force choked. You've never been force
That's
choked. The
not.
force choke
Yeah, but
could
that's
come from the
not
chest.
Gamorrean biology.
You
That
don't know
there's no.
Gamorrean. You don't know their biology.
I'm a Gamorrean doctor. No, I know what I'm talking about. No, I will say I just don't think it's part of Luke's character to do that kind of thing. But I mean, hey, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I just don't think. You know what I will say? If he's gonna force choke them, I don't know why he didn't just go up in there and kill everyone. Like Darth Maul and Savage went up in there and they killed all the Hutts. They killed all like the what's the Prince Caesar's. I know that's not canon anymore, but Black Sun. Like they killed
Yeah.
all these syndicates. So I'm like, Luke could have taken all these guys. He could have taken everybody in there. Why do the diplomatic and like kind of like the sneaky approach?
Remember, he's a Jedi, so he doesn't want to walk in
that
there.
Force chokes. That force chokes people.
But that presupposes that force choking is inherently an evil, dark side ability. Just because we've seen all of the mostly dark side users use it doesn't mean that it's inherently a dark side ability.
It absolutely is. What are you talking about? That's an offensive use of power, of force power.
Jedi use offensive force powers all the time. They push. What's the difference? Let me ask you, what's the difference between Luke Skywalker force choking them and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith when he's about to fight General Grievous? He uses the force to drop those things on the guard.
That's different though. Those are droids. That's different. They're droids.
It's different.
I don't agree with it, but in this universe, for whatever reason, the creators of this universe deemed droids' lives not as valuable. I guess they're not alive. So
wow.
I think it was an aggressive move, but I think in the morality of this universe, I don't think crushing droids is the same as force choking multiple opponents. It just looks really aggressive and like an offensive move. And the point of it is to kill. I think it's understood, especially by the Jedi Council, that force choking is not okay. And
is that where have you seen that in canon?
I mean, no, none of this is stated in canon, but this is my argument for it. I just feel like every dark side user immediately goes for force choke because it's an easy way to kill their opponent, where you don't see any light side user go to force choke to do anything to their opponents. So
I think this is an example where we saw that, and it's kind of like with Force Lightning. Do you remember? I know this is not necessarily canon now, but when Plo Koon uses Force Lightning, they didn't call it Force Lightning; they called it Electric Judgment. Do you remember that?
what? No. When did
You
that
don't
happen?
remember that? Yeah, it was an
That
ability.
did not happen. That did not happen. That was not
Carlos,
canon.
in the extent.
That was
No,
not.
it's not Carlos. I'm
Oh,
trying
okay. We're talking about EU.
No, but you brought up the EU just now too. You brought up Anakin Solo.
No, I know. I didn't bring it up to prove my point. I was bringing it up to prove your point. I think in canon, there is a very clear line between what Sith use and what Jedi use. And so that's why I think force choking it's dark side thing, man. Just like force lightning.
Yeah, I will say I just looked it up, and apparently we do see the electric judgment being used by Yoda in the episode of the Clone Wars called Destiny in season 6, episode 12. Do you remember anything like that?
Where he's fighting season 6, episode 12? That's
Correct.
where he's kind of going through the vision quest of like fighting Sidious before he knows who Sidious is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He doesn't, but he's actually using electricity.
I gotta look at it more. I gotta rewatch the episode.
You'd have to rewatch that. Because I mean, he does something similar by blocking the electricity and it creates that explosion, but that's purely defensive. So I don't know, man. When Anakin starts force choking somebody, Ahsoka is like, Master, what are you doing? And like, even Obi-Wan was like, Anakin, what are you doing? Like, it is one of those things where it's like, that's a big no-no, man. You can't do that.
Yeah, I just think that shows Luke's like balance and prowess, and that he can use certain abilities just like casually without it actually tapping into the dark side. But I know we're not gonna
did tap into the dark side that we'll see later on.
Yeah, but that's then. This is right now. And at this moment, he didn't.
All right. Well, yeah. I don't think he force choked him. I think he did some other thing, but I get what you're saying. So,
yeah. And I can see your side of it. You make some very valid points, and I guess maybe we'll do a mini episode where we discuss that. But really quick, last quick question: how do you feel about the overall sail barge fight escape? Like this, first, I really call this like the first act of the film, the rescue of Han Solo. So, what did you think? How do you feel about all of it? What did you think?
Oh, I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great. Especially because just looking at it just in the bubble of the original trilogy, it's the first time we get to see Luke in action.
Yes.
And using his force powers. And he's like, I don't want to say a fully realized Jedi, but I do think he's really stepping into his own as a confident and competent Jedi practitioner, force user, fighter. I don't even know what you call a trainee. No, he's not technically he's not an apprentice because he doesn't have a master at the moment. But yeah, I would say it's cool to see him approaching that Jedi knighthood. And he's just very in control. And so it's a nice way to introduce that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like, he has all his bases covered. Like, Lando went in ahead, Leia went in first. He sent the droids in, so he already had like some plants in there with R2-D2 and Lando, and then he just completely owns everybody. So this is like Luke at his best, not only from a Force lightsaber wielding perspective, but also his strategy and the thought that he put in and the care that he put into this rescue mission. So incredible.
Yeah, I think he was probably trying to do it with the least amount of deaths. So to his credit, I think he was trying to use diplomacy, which is great. I mean, I think it was a waste of time. He could have just gone up in there and like whoop some ass. But I do credit him for trying to do things the right way. You know, he's like, it'd be cool, R2, if you launch my new lightsaber in front of everyone.
Nah, no, bro. No, it's not. It's not theater. It's
You know that's he was thinking that.
probably.
He's like,
But
this is my big comeback to
exactly.
Tatooine.
I'm back now. I got a new hand, new lightsaber. Get at me.
Question: where did he get that lightsaber?
Yeah, good question. So we actually find out in it's called From a Certain Point of View, that book, that he actually built the lightsaber in Obi-Wan's hut on Tatooine. Now,
Okay.
it's not fully confirmed where he got the kyber crystal. It doesn't
Yeah.
explicitly state that, but he used most of the materials and all the things from in Obi-Wan's hut. And
I see. So
the directions
Obi-Wan
and
had
instructions for Obi-Wan.
So he had other stuff, like other materials
Yeah,
to build the hilt.
Yep.
Okay. That works. That makes sense. Yeah. I know there's some stuff in the comics about him obtaining a kyber crystal elsewhere.
Yep.
But I haven't read the comics, so I can't definitively say it. But,
yeah.
So after that really exciting scene where Luke just, shows off his power, the group parts ways. The rest of them head to the Rebel rendezvous near Sullust, which is a planet that has the Celestins. If anybody knows, the Celestins are the creatures, the guy who's sitting next to Lando in the Millennium Falcon when they're going into battle with the Death Star, that's a Celestin. So now Luke and R2, they go to Dagobah because Luke, he's got to keep his promise. The Emperor arrives on the Death Star, which is really cool. I mean, I imagine this must have been awesome for the audience to see for the first time, because this is the first time you're seeing the guy who's in charge of all of this, And I don't know if the first time people saw, I don't know if they knew he was on the level of Sith or if they just thought he was like this old, dictator. But I think it's just a cool. The whole thing is awesome because half these Imperials have never seen the Emperor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's just this like figure shrouded in mystery. They know like the Emperor, Emperor, and that's exactly the way that he wants it.
Yeah, and Vader greets him, and shrouded in mystery is a good way to say it because I know from a lot of the material, everybody in the universe, with the exception of like a very select few, they all just think he's some frail old man. Yeah. They don't think he has any, aside from authoritative power, they don't think he has any like actual physical or, force wielding power. So the Emperor counsels patience, tells Vader, chill out, man. Don't worry. I've foreseen it. He's stating that although Vader wishes to continue his search for Skywalker, Luke is going to be the one to seek him out. I don't know how he knows that. But Luke has grown.
I was going to ask you that.
Oh, really? Well, I have some ideas, but Luke has grown strong. That's what he kind of suggests. And only together can they bring him to the dark side of the Force. With this kind of reminds me of those friends that anytime you tell them something new, they're like, oh, yeah, I knew that. That's what the Emperor reminds me of.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, I've foreseen it. Yeah, Vader, I know.
Like, did you, bro? Did you really?
Yeah, do you? Come on, man. So Luke is on Dagobah and he's talking to Yoda, and Yoda is telling him like, hey, I'm 900 years old. Like I'm in the process of dying. And Luke's like, you can't die because you need to help me complete the training. And Yoda tells Luke that he doesn't require any more training. I think he says something like, already know you that which you need.
Mm-hmm.
I might have butchered that quote.
That's exactly right.
So Luke says, so I am a Jedi. And Yoda's like, oh, yeah, right. Not yet. One thing remains. Vader. You must confront Vader. And then, only then, a Jedi will you be. And so then Luke asks if Vader is his father. And Yoda tells him, your father is. Told you, did he? And Luke nods. Yoda continues saying, unexpected this is, and unfortunate. And Luke tells him, like, unfortunate that I know the truth. And Yoda's like, no, unfortunate that you rushed to face him, you impetuous child. That incomplete was your training. You didn't listen to your masters, bro, the teachers. Calvin's like shaking his head like, nah,
Bruh,
no.
you're doing the most. Doing the most.
Not ready for the burden, were you? I think that's the part that really hit me. He's like, you didn't realize what you didn't know. And it's okay, but it's not okay. After giving Luke some final reminders and guidance, including to not underestimate the Emperor, he also tells, he says, there's also another Skywalker. Yoda passes away and becomes one with the Force. Now, as Luke prepares to leave, Obi-Wan's spirit appears and confirms that Anakin Skywalker was once a Jedi who turned into Darth Vader. And Obi-Wan says, what I told you was true from a certain point of view, which is like the biggest cop-out ever.
Oh my gosh.
He also tells Luke that Leia is his twin sister, hidden from Vader at birth to protect her. It's actually interesting because Luke kind of guesses it. And he's like, oh, your insight serves you well.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was interesting because he's kind of giving him the hint. But then Luke's like, I got it, Leia.
Yep.
So even at the very end, Obi-Wan is still not telling him the direct truth. Calvin, what do you think about that? I know you got a lot to say about everything that I said.
Carlos, I have a lot to say. Now, before I say this,
speak on it.
Let me be very clear. When I say this.
All right.
Obi-Wan and Yoda are two of the most powerful, wise, incredible Jedi that the Jedi Order has ever seen. They're the best. They're the creme de la creme.
Agreed.
They're the tip of the top, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what in the actual heck were they doing? So I just have a couple issues, a couple small issues, Carlos, with both of them. First, my first issue was this. So Yoda was incredibly wise, like giving him gems. On his deathbed, when Luke asks, Master Yoda, is Darth Vader my father? Yoda replies, rest I need. Yes, rest. Like, bro, you're about to die. You don't want to admit this? Like, when were they? I think we talked about this last episode. When were they planning on telling Luke? Like, first of all, he's already fought Vader. Vader's already told him. Don't you think that's important information to know if you're like going to ask him to kill Vader?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, what is the reason for withholding that information even at the end? And same for Obi-Wan. Well, you're already dead. You're one with the Force. Luke is about to go fight them. Obi-Wan already knows that he's, what I'm sure he knows what happened because he's one with the Force.
Yeah.
What is up to up until the end of their lives, they're still not sharing they're still hesitant to share the full truth with him. Like, if Luke hadn't pushed back and said, Yoda, I must know, Yoda would have died without actually telling him. So I can't understand the why. Like, they're so like, oh, it seems to me that Yoda was just like, I don't want anything to stop you from doing what has to be done. And I'm afraid that, like, if I, go along and tell you the truth about who you really are, you may not have the strength to actually kill them because Darth Vader and the Emperor, they're a threat. They need to be destroyed. And I don't know that you'll be able to actually do it if you know who he is. So I'm going to shy away from that truth. And it's like, you got to trust him. You have to trust, those coming up that you're training with the full truth and the whole truth because it's dishonest. So I'm just like, come on.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of push back and say, and I want to see what you have to say. Do you think it is good to have the truth, but do you think there's a time and place to tell the truth? Do you think sometimes the truth can be said too early or too late?
No, I don't. And that might have to be a whole discussion on its own, right? A whole conversation.
I know, that's a very philosophical question, but I was just curious.
Well, I don't, because at this point, they're in the end game now. Yoda's about to die, and there are so many people just in life who take secrets to the grave with him. That's not one because that's not one that Yoda should have taken to the grave.
Well, do you think he would have? I mean, he probably knew he was coming back as a Force ghost.
Yeah, but that Obi-Wan was already very hands-off, and Yoda was very hands-off too from what we saw, and didn't show up until the very end when they were celebrating. So there's no guarantee that he would have.
I wonder if he was like, Obi-Wan will tell you.
Right, bro. Why are you pushing the buck?
He's got this one. No, you make a lot of good points. Honestly, I don't really know. So as you were talking, I was just thinking, I wonder if Yoda and Obi-Wan, okay, they are, like you said, powerful. They're both wise. They are the ideals of the Jedi
Yeah.
Council, of the old Jedi Council. I'm wondering if their plan is still kind of like old mentality Jedi.
Mm.
They're still like, no, the only way we're going to win is if we do this 20-step plan that we've set in motion from day
Yeah.
one before
Yeah.
you were born, Luke, and nothing can screw with that.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if even at the end, even though Yoda and Obi-Wan have gone through so much and they've wisened up and they've changed and they've gotten more in touch with the living force, there's still that little element, the human, I don't want to say human side because Yoda's not a human, but like the what do you call that? The ego side that
Yeah.
is like, well, things still need to be done a certain way. And I'm
Mm.
wondering for them if they're like, Luke didn't stay here, so he didn't reach, I don't know, level 20 of his training. So
Yeah.
he's not ready. So now we got to push the timeline back a bit. I wonder
Mm.
if they're still looking at it like a math equation.
Got it. They might
And
be.
that's what I was thinking of as you were telling me, because I was like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't just do that. And I'm wondering if they're like, they probably do not trust Luke in the sense that they probably feel like he's still that impetuous, compulsive kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of that episode in Avatar The Last Airbender where everyone is telling Aang,
Dang.
you need to kill Ozai.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he's like, I can't do that. And even
Yep.
his past lives are like, you need to be decisive. You need to sometimes, to protect the world, you may have to sacrifice your spiritual desires. And he's like adamant that there has to be another way.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault because what they're doing is still justice. And I think that's the same mentality of Yoda and Obi-Wan. They're like, they still need to be eliminated, and that'll be justice. It's not
Yeah.
revenge, it's justice, but you need to follow our plan. And you're messing with the plan, so we need to adjust. I think for Luke, I don't even think he knew what he was going to do, but similar to Aang, he at the end he realized there is another way, and that's if I don't fight.
That's a very, very good point. And, Yoda and Obi-Wan, Vader turning away from the dark side is completely out of the question. And Luke, as his son, is the only one who can really feel the
Yeah,
conflict with him, and really is
yeah.
the only one
Who
who
could
is
do that?
able to
Yeah,
actually turn him away from the dark side because he's his son.
yeah. I agree. I think there are other people that could have turned him, but they're not alive anymore.
Exactly. Or around.
Yeah, around like Shmi. I think she could have. You
Yep.
know, maybe Qui-Gon. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think it does become one of these things where Yoda and Obi-Wan are like, he's too far gone. He's not coming back. I can understand Yoda and Obi-Wan. And I think it's just one of those last reminders that as wise as they are, as powerful as they are, they're not omniscient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like kind of like in Harry Potter, how like Voldemort, like the one thing that Voldemort can't understand is love, and that's why
Yeah.
love ends up being Voldemort's downfall. Love is what ends up being the Emperor's downfall, even though
Yeah.
he did. The Emperor knows that Anakin loved, like Padme and Shmi, and like
Hmm.
uses that to his advantage and warps his mind. But then the Emperor couldn't anticipate, like, oh wait, like you can actually be turned. Your son can turn you from the dark side, and the
Yeah.
same on the other end, because Yoda and Obi-Wan are from that brand of Jedi that teach like it's like don't love. That's what they were teaching Anakin, like like
Yeah.
don't love, like they couldn't understand that like love was actually what helped him turn from the dark side to the light side. They couldn't,
Hmm.
it's not something they could have planned for. So really,
Yeah.
really interesting. And
That's a good
so,
point. Absolutely. That's a good
yeah,
point. They couldn't understand that like familial connection, that familial love. Because they're like,
exactly.
well, we don't even go near that because that's that
Exactly.
could be the path to the dark side.
And the only other thing, because I know we do have to move on, but the only other thing I want to say is when Yoda tells Luke, because Luke was like, "Oh, then I am a Jedi because I don't need any more training." And then
Yeah.
Yoda laughs like, "Not yet. One thing remains: you must defeat Vader, and then only then a Jedi will you be." Okay, uh,
You're like,
all
who
these
wrote this?
generation,
What?
right? All these generation of Jedi that just had to go through like simple trials to become
Yeah.
Jedi, and Yoda's like, "Yeah, if you want to be an actual Jedi Knight, go and defeat Vader, then you'll be a Jedi." So
Yeah.
I'm like, bro,
He's
like
like,
that's actually a lie.
save the galaxy and you'll be a Jedi.
Right, save the galaxy, kill Vader, the Emperor, and the second Death Star, and then you can be a Jedi
Yeah.
Knight. Like, bro, what?
Yeah.
It,
And while you're
because
at
what
it,
it,
take out all the moths.
exactly, because what he's saying without saying it is like, you're a Padawan, and we believe in you to defeat everyone. You're still a Padawan, but you can do it. What?
Yeah. What? No backup? Nothing?
Exactly. So that's a little wild. And then last thing, when he says, "Don't underestimate the powers of the Emperor. It's tough for your father's fate. You will." Did he really think that he was strong enough to go against the Emperor?
Yeah. I think at that point they were just like, this is all we got. And Leia, but she doesn't know anything.
Crazy. All right, so at the Rebel base, Mon Mothma reveals their plan to attack the Death Star. The shield protecting it is powered by a generator on the forest moon of Endor. Luke, Leia, Han, Chewbacca, the droids, and the strike team, they assemble to disable it. And I just want to say, Mon Mothma says many Bothans died to bring them the information about the
Yeah,
second Death
what?
Star.
I want to
And
know that story.
yeah, we've never heard of it. Who are these Bothans and how they get the information and how they die? We need
They
to know.
talk about it. They talk about it in Shadows of the Empire, but that's not canon
They sure
anymore.
do. Exactly. It's not canon. I love that book. Love that game.
Same. Man, I wish they would just insert it in the
No,
canon.
seriously. And so when they land on Endor, they're spotted by scout troopers. And I just want to say that I think it's cool when they're landing on Endor, Luke and Vader sense each other,
Yeah.
and so that's a pretty cool moment. And then notice like Vader lets them land.
Yeah.
Like he could have like shot them down. He could have pulled in the tractor beam, but like Vader lets them land, even though he senses Luke. But I think it's so interesting. That's already indicative of the conflict in him.
Why do you think that is? Do you think he's trying to win over Luke diplomatically?
Yeah, exactly. He wants to win him over diplomatically. Doesn't want to pull him in. He's like, let him just go. I'll go down and like see him for myself, because he felt like that was like the non-combative way to, get his son.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he did say, and the Emperor did tell him earlier, like, your son will come to you.
Yeah.
Or no, that happens a little later. So yeah, but they land on Endor. They're spotted by scout troopers, and it ends up being a speeder chase, and this separates Leia from Luke and Han. And Leia is knocked unconscious, but she's found by an Ewok named Wicket, played by Warwick Davis, and helps her escape another scout. And so the rest of the group is captured by Ewoks and taken to their village. The Ewoks mistake 3PO for a god, and so the Ewoks prepare a feast with Han as the main course, and I guess Luke is the side dish. It's so funny. So Luke, being very smart and powerful as he is, he tells 3PO to tell them that if they don't release them, he'll become angry and use their powers. He tries, it doesn't work. So Luke closes his eyes, and then he uses the Force to levitate 3PO, and this convinces them to release Han and Luke. And so they have a conversation, and the Ewoks agree to help the rebels. That night, Luke is outside, and Leia goes to him and asks him what's wrong. So when Leia goes out to see what's up with Luke, Luke tells Leia the truth, that he is Darth Vader's son. Vader is his father. That if he does not make it out alive, that she is the only hope left for the Alliance. And this is when Luke reveals to Leia that he is her brother, she's his sister, and then she's like, "What?" And it's just such a touching moment when she's like, go far away. I wish I could go with you. He's like, "No, you don't. You've always been strong." And then Leia's like, why must you confront him? And Luke is like, because there's good in him. I felt it. He won't turn me over to the dark side. I can save him. I can turn him to the good side. I have to try. Then he leaves. And then, Leia's stunned and Han comforts her and he gets mad. He's like, you can tell Luke? Is that who you can tell?
Han's
Like,
a little
what's wrong?
jealous.
Tell me. He
A
was
little
like,
jelly bean.
yeah. And she's like, hold me. And then
I mean,
he's like, ah.
It does look weird.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, from Han's perspective, it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on with you two?
Yeah, like, come on. And he's already the kiss from a year ago is still in his mind. He was just replaying that while he was in Carbonite, like for the past year.
Yeah, that's all he was thinking about.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a little strange because she could have just been like, he's my brother and Darth Vader's my dad.
Yeah, like right there and then. Yeah.
So,
and that's a lot for Leia to like learn. Like, whoa, like this guy that like I met on the Death Star is like my brother. Like, well, that's crazy. And like Vader is my father, who I've been fighting against like nearly my whole life. That's crazy.
Well, she does say, "Yeah, I know. Somehow I've always known." So
that's true.
She does sense something, and I'm wondering if she's just kind of been ignoring it. And once he told her, it was like, "Oh, all of this actually makes sense."
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah,
I wondered about that. Like, that's something I've always known. And then he also tells her like, you're wrong. You have the same power that I do, and in time you'll learn to use it as I have. Yeah. So she's like, it's indicative, I think, of her innate ability. Or her innate connection to the Force. So, and then we see Luke surrenders to Vader. Carlos, one of my favorite scenes ever. I love this scene.
Yeah, this is a really good one.
So, Luke is, of course, hoping to turn Vader back to the light side. So during their one-on-one conversation, Luke is really beginning to plant seeds of doubt in Vader's mind by telling him that there's good in him and that he was once Anakin Skywalker. He knows he tells Vader that he knows there's good in him because he didn't destroy Luke on Bespin, and he's not immediately taking him to the Emperor.
Yeah.
And so...
And that triggers him when he says Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
He's like, that
name no longer has any meaning for me. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like wagging his lightsaber in his Luke's lightsaber in his face. Is like, hey. And Carlos, I was watching this and I was like, yo, like, we've seen the prequel trilogy now. We've seen the Clone Wars. We've seen Rebels. It must be super triggering. Like, when was the last time someone called him Luke Skywalker?
Yeah.
You
mean Anakin Skywalker?
I mean, thank you. Sorry. When was the last time someone called him Anakin Skywalker? Right? Other than like Obi-Wan and maybe Kenobi. Obi-Wan.
Yeah, maybe I think in Kenobi.
Did, yeah.
But you're right. Like, I don't think anyone who he doesn't know well has said that to him, because the Emperor hasn't said that. Everyone who knew he was Anakin is dead.
Yes.
Maybe Obi-Wan, but again, Obi-Wan is like someone who he has an intimate relationship with. So nobody would ever, even if they figured it out. I don't even think Thrawn, when he figured it out, I don't even think he said anything. Grand Moff Tarkin didn't say anything. So yeah, nobody, because it would just be a huge overstep. It would just be crossing a serious boundary.
Exactly. And, Vader, he's been failing for the last 19 years at doing this, but he's tried to like put that past life away, because when he thinks of Anakin, he thinks of who he was. He thinks of his apprentice, Ahsoka. He thinks of his wife, Padme. He thinks of his mom, Shmi. He thinks of everything. And so that was like super triggering. So like that moment where he's like, that name no longer has any meaning for me. It just made me think about everything that we know about Anakin, everything that we've seen. So really, really so much going on there in just that one line. So you're right. He does get triggered. And, I also love the moment where Vader turns on Luke's lightsaber. He says, I see you've constructed a new lightsaber. Your skills are complete. Indeed, you are powerful, as the Emperor has foreseen. And I'm like, what did the Emperor see? Like, one, is the Emperor just like talking, or does he actually see something in the Force that was like, yo, this guy is like powerful? Because he says that earlier. He says like he has grown strong. What's their indication or indicator that he's grown strong? Are they seeing visions of the Force? Are they feeling this power? What do you think?
Okay, so this is just my hot take. I don't know that the Emperor's seen things. Maybe he's seen some versions of what he wants to happen in the future, and I think it could be a darker timeline. But I think what he's really doing and it's described this way also in the Tarkin book, he's feeling like the kind of the tendrils, the wisps of the Force and which directions they're going. And so I think he is feeling like this enhanced burgeoning power growing around this distant location where he feels that over there is Luke Skywalker.
That makes sense.
So I think that's just my hot take. That's what I think is happening. I think he's a lot of talk though, because he was a politician.
Yeah,
And I think this guy can say whatever he wants. And because he has the authority and the reputation of power, people will believe him.
Yeah.
Even Darth Vader will believe him. But Darth Vader is also having visions. And it's not like he's sharing those visions with the Emperor, you know?
Yeah. That's true. That's
So
very
I don't
true.
know. So I don't know how much of these visions that each one is having, I don't know how much they're seeing of each other, because sometimes the Emperor makes it seem like he knows what's in Vader's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he alludes to that in one of the novels. And so, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like the Emperor, like 70% of what he says is true, and the rest is all just BS.
I agree, and that's the way of the Sith: lies and deceit. That's what the Sith do.
Yeah.
So he does that best. So during this conversation between Luke and Vader, Luke says to Vader, "Come with me," and then Vader tells him that Obi-Wan once thought as you do. You don't know the power of the dark side. I must obey my master. And I know we just spoke about that. And
Yeah,
Luke says,
we
search your feelings. You can't do this. I feel the conflict within you. Let go of your hate. So the fact that like Luke is like, able to like sense like Vader's emotions and can feel the conflict in him, it's just so great. And, up until this point, if you're watching it, from a like chronological perspective in terms of like the story itself, not release order, there's no one that's told someone on the dark side, I feel a conflict within you, like come back to the light side. So this is very like provocative what we're seeing like Luke do, really like feeling that conflict and telling Vader. And so Vader says, it's too late for me, son. I'm like, wow, like, is it really? But you can just feel the emotion coming from him. And then Luke's like, then my father is truly dead, and then walks out. And then we talked about this in the last episode. Vader walks to the side, and he seems a little like very contemplative, maybe a little sad, but you can't see it. But it's the music. It's like the way that he's leaning. His body language is telling us how he feels.
Yeah. Well, what indicated to me that Vader felt what Luke was telling him was that line, "It's too late for me, son." Because is this the second time he's called him son? Because he calls him son in Empire.
Well, after he cuts his hand off?
Yeah, and then he's like, Luke, and then he's like, father, and then he's like, son.
Son, come with me. Yes,
yeah.
It's the second time.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting because it's like both sides are completely acknowledging this relationship. Mm-hmm. And it's not like this awkward, where have you been all my life? Like that kind of thing. I got to get to know you first. No, this is like they've completely accepted the relationship.
Yeah.
And they're both trying to bring each other over to each other. So I think it's interesting that it's not like Luke is like, I want nothing to do with you and I'm going to kill you. And it's not like Darth Vader is like, you're a wayward son and you're kind of a dick and I don't like you. Like they're both like, I want you to come with me. Yeah. Both of them are saying that to each other. So I just think it's really interesting to see this acknowledgement that there's that relationship there. There has to be some love there.
And there absolutely. Yeah.
So
absolutely. And then the whole time I'm looking at this scene, I'm just like, Vader must be thinking about Padme this entire time. Because at the end of the day, like this must be a reminder of like his wife, like, oh man, like Padme, like dang, she was pregnant. Like we did have a son. This is our son. Like this is my chance. So
yeah, crazy. And she believed these things too. She was like, come back to me. Like, where'd you go? Like, you're going to a place I can't follow. Like, I love you, like all this stuff. And he was angry. And I mean, it's different. I mean, that's a romantic partner. But I think here in this instance, it hits harder when it's your kids who are telling you, hey, you need to change, or you need to do this, or I want you to come back. I have love for you. Like, what's going on? I think it's different than hearing a partner.
There's so much in there. So definitely one of the best scenes in the original trilogy, for sure.
Yeah. So Vader ends up bringing him to the Emperor. Luke wasn't as persuasive, but Vader doesn't really have an option. The Emperor reveals that the rebels were led into a trap and that the Death Star is fully operational. An interesting side note to this, we see this in the game Battlefront 2. Iden Versio, before she defects to the rebels, she's actually the reason that they don't discover that it's a trap, because the rebels do pick up a coded transmission that the whole operation on Endor will be a trap, and she gets captured by the rebels on purpose, and she breaks out of the holding cell and she deletes the transmission, and then she escapes. So that's the only reason. Yeah, it was a pretty cool mission because you play as her and you're like killing rebels, and you're like, you feel bad, but it's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, just a little tidbit. But so on Endor, the rebels are they're trying to make their run on the shield generator. Sorry.
Thank you.
And so they're ambushed, but the Ewoks, the droids, and Han's team fight back. Eventually, they reach the shield generator and they bring it down. And so that's great. I mean, there's a whole battle that ensues. It takes a while. At first, they're captured, they're kicked out, and then they're held hostage. And then Ewoks come, and somehow they defeat all of these well-armed Imperials. But in the Death Star's throne room, the Empire tries to seduce Luke to the dark side. Luke attacks, but he's intercepted by Vader. They duel. Vader senses that Luke has a sister. He kind of goads it out of Luke.
Yeah.
And he feels those feelings, even though Obi-Wan told Luke, like, bury your feelings. So Vader kind of says the one thing that I think would piss off Luke, which is, oh, if I can't turn you, I can turn her.
Ooh.
Yeah, Luke.
Chills.
Luke, he freaks out. And then he goes like kind of dark, like dark side in this instance.
He's definitely he's absolutely tapping into the dark side in this moment.
Yeah. So he's enraged. He overpowers Vader, and he's just wailing on this guy, right? He's just And I was surprised to see Vader kind of like knocked down. Vader's like cybernetically enhanced, so it's pretty intense that he's using this dark side power to beat him down. He severs his hand. Vader even lets out a cry. The Emperor urges him to kill his father. He's like, good. And Luke just refuses. He looks at his hand, and it's a great juxtaposition here that George Lucas is just really good at, the symmetry.
Yes.
He sees the hand that he cut off Darth Vader. It's full of wires. He looks at his own hand, the hand that also is full of wires, and he realizes, I'm just falling into the trap.
Yep.
And so he refuses. He tosses his lightsaber away and says, never. I'll never join you. And then he says, what did he say? You failed, Your Highness.
Yeah. I'm a Jedi, like my father before me.
Like my father before me, yeah.
Like, so be it, Jedi.
Yeah, that whole scene is great. So the Emperor, of course, unleashes Force lightning on Luke because he's like, all right, if you won't be turned, you're going to be destroyed. And Luke he's just this horrible, torturous, like, Cruciatus curse of lightning coming at him. And there's nothing Luke can do. He's kind of just trapped in this pain. Vader watches, and it's such a great scene where there's no dialogue from Vader, but he's looking back and forth, torn between what to do. And I love it because you don't need to see his face to feel the conflict. But the conflict is not even, I wouldn't even say conflict, because by this point, that love, that goodness is winning over.
Yes.
And it's almost like he's reckoning with what am I doing? And I could only imagine, like, what is he thinking? Like, what is he seeing?
Yeah.
Is he seeing Padme? Is he seeing, like, what is he seeing? And so finally he says no, and he lifts the Emperor. He throws him down the reactor shaft, which kills the Emperor. But in the process, the Force lightning just completely shorts out Vader's suit. So he's mortally wounded. So awesome scene. I don't know. I mean, there's no real question I want to ask except Calvin. Like, what do you think of this scene?
It's just so emotional and just so incredible. Like, and there's so much said by everyone's actions, well, Luke and Vader's actions in this moment that just speak volumes. Like, it can't be overstated. The Luke's ability to like throw his lightsaber down. He's like, yo, I tap into the dark side. If I keep fighting, it's gonna
Yeah.
pull me in. I literally can't do that. I can't repeat the cycle. Look at my father here. He throws his lightsaber away. And then Emperor's like, okay, then I'll kill you then, and then I'm gonna attend to Vader. It's just
Yeah.
incredible that Luke is able to actually turn away from that. And that's what his father was unable to do, and it's because of love. It's
Mm-hmm.
because of love, you know? So I thought that's
Absolutely.
great. Yeah, sorry. You want to say something?
No, yeah. I mean, I think you said it's well. What you said was perfect. I will say I think it's something that nobody would like. I feel like from the Emperor's perspective, he's like, you have a weapon, why wouldn't you use it? Like,
Right.
you know, his he can't even comprehend the whole idea of why would you resist, like, or not resist? Why would you lower your weapon and allow me to kill you? You're
Exactly.
stupid, kind of thing. This is
Yeah.
why you're weak. He only
Hmm.
understands what he thinks the strength, the might makes right. And I just think it's amazing that Luke was like, just complete no fighting, and that's what wins over Vader.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I just think it's a brilliant move, and I think it's brilliant storytelling. That's how I feel about this scene. I just
I agree.
love how it comes back around, and it comes back around through a thing that we always see, like the good guy is going to fight the bad guy and kill the bad guy. We never see the good guy is going to not fight,
Yeah.
like is going to
Exactly.
confront but not fight. And yeah, anyway, I love it.
It's such incredible storytelling. And then like it just Vader just at this crossroads where he's like, no, like I'm done being a pawn. I'm not
Yeah.
letting my son get killed by you. Like I've been under your thumb long enough. Like enough is enough.
Yeah.
It's over. I choose my son over you.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Because
It's a choice between like the emperor or his son, and he chooses his son.
yeah, he's probably realizing, well, the Emperor was just ready to get rid of him.
Yeah, exactly. So, just to close this out, we see the Death Star is now under attack from the inside. Luckily, the Millennium Falcon and Wedge Antilles are on the inside, targeting the reactor. Meanwhile, Luke drags Vader, who's dying, and so he kind of like drops Vader, and so Anakin tells Luke, "Help me take this mask off," and Luke is like, "But you'll die." And then uh, Anakin says, "Nothing can stop that now. Just for once, let me look on you with my own eyes." And if you just imagine, like, take you back to 1983, everyone has been dying to see what he actually looks like under this mask. We saw a little
Yeah.
teaser of it in Empire Strikes Back, and I know, like, we've seen this a million times, so it's like whatever now, but at the time in theaters, imagine like this is the moment. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, we get to see him without the mask. What does it look like? So it's just incredible. And we see he removes his helmet, and shout out to this actor Sebastian Shaw. He plays this older wounded Vader, and then he tells Luke, "Tell your sister you were right about me. Tell your sister you were right." And then he dies in his arms. Luke cries. And it's a really, really touching moment for sure. You can tell
Yeah.
they've like definitely bonded, and Vader turned away from the dark side for his son, or because of his son. And I'd say it would have been interesting, and I'm sure there are lots of what if videos out there. If Vader had survived, or what would that have been like? If Vader survived and Anakin he survived, what the heck would that have been like? We don't
Yeah.
have time to talk
That
about
would
that
be
now.
crazy.
It would have been interesting.
Bro, the
Yeah.
New Republic would have been like, you need to go to prison.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And
You've committed atrocities across the galaxy.
Right.
Whole
Exactly,
genocides.
exactly. They might even send us into death. I don't even know.
Yeah,
You know?
probably.
Yeah.
They'd be like, just get the
So
hell out of this galaxy. Like,
exactly. Oh, that's so funny. So the Falcon destroys the Death Star's main reactor. Shout out to Lando. I don't think Lando gets enough credit for being the one to like shoot the final shot. Shout out to
he doesn't
Lando
get any
Calrissian.
he doesn't get
He,
any credit. Like,
he gets zero.
he is the MVP. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Yeah. Whoa. No, okay. Yeah, he might be.
Just kidding.
So the rebels escape just in time as it explodes, and Luke, he gets out on time with his father's body and an Imperial shuttle. And so back on Endor, they Han and Leia look up and they see the Death Star explode. Then Han looks at Leia. He's like, "I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure Luke wasn't on that thing when it blew." And it's funny that the first thing he was thinking was like, "Oh, like Luke. Leia's probably worried about Luke because he says like, you love him, don't you?"
Oh yeah.
He was like, "I understand. When he comes back, I won't get in the way." And then Leia's like, "It's not like that at all. He's my brother." And I was like, "Your brother?" And then he's just like relieved. He's like
He's
shocked. He's like,
relieved. He's like, okay,
"Oh
thank
yeah,
God.
your brother. This is great."
But you
So
could see that look on his face of like, your brother. And the first thing I'm sure he thought about was that weird kiss.
yeah.
Like you could see the weird look
Yo.
on his face, like, wait, what?
He was like, "So you kissed your brother?" Like, so yeah, he's relieved. They kiss, and then that night, Luke cremates Anakin's body and gives him a proper Jedi funeral. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like like sad in a way because it's like, wow, like this is Anakin, like he's dead, and then it's just like Luke standing there, like paying, like the only person at this man's funeral. It's like really sad in a way. And
Well, I mean, yeah, it
is
kind
it
of
sad?
it all comes back around. I feel like
That's true.
like
No,
Anakin burned every bridge he had. You know,
that's very true. And it's like we can't absolve him of all the atrocities that he committed as Vader. Like
I want to, but after reading all these books, I can't. Man.
yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah,
And it's also like, I know we don't have time to talk about this, but I know that Anakin becomes one with the Force. But is there some kind of purgatory? Like, does he have to pay some type of penance for his crimes? Like, I don't know.
I feel like that's why I really do feel like he went through a lot of punishment in that meditation chamber. Like he was haunted by everybody that he's killed. And he was haunted by the death of Padme. Like this stuff has just been rattling around his skull for years. And so I think he hated himself. And Luke saved him. And that's kind of how I see it. Like, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a maybe he did go, maybe there is. And it's like, it feels like an eternity, but in our world, it's like a second. I don't know.
Because time works so different. I can see that.
Like in the Force. So who knows what kind of journey he went through after death before he became one with the Force.
True. So we see across the galaxy is celebrating the downfall of the Empire, and I appreciate the new special additions to the celebration. Super cool. So we see a bunch of planets all over the galaxy celebrating, from Naboo to Coruscant. Then on Endor, the Rebels are celebrating with some cool music. I don't know if it's as good as the Max Rebo band, but it's still some cool music. Those Ewoks, that Ewok band is killing it. Yeah. And so Luke finally reunites with the gang. It's super funny. He gives hugs all around. He looks at Han like, I don't know, just everything about it is nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah,
nice
and
closure.
Then as he walks over, he looks, and the spirits, the Force ghosts of Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda are like looking and smiling. And Anakin shows up, and I don't know about you, Carlos, but I love that they had Hayden Christensen come in and film this, because it's like, oh no, this version. And now with everything that we have, it serves to have like great continuity, because after that we see him show up as a Force ghost in Ahsoka. So it's just a great continuity.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know people were mad about the fact that Sebastian Shaw didn't get more screen time, but I do appreciate the fact that Hayden Christensen came back, because that it's like you get to see the Jedi, this Force ghost, in the last moment that they were on the light side. So it makes sense that we're seeing Revenge of the Sith Anakin.
Yes,
because that was the last moment he was good. So yeah, I think all that makes sense, and so I like the choice that they made to bring him back.
Yeah, I agree. And that concludes our review of the film.
I do want to make one tidbit here because I know we were like, yeah, it's over. And I just think knowing what we know after Return of the Jedi, it is kind of like, oh, this is great, but oh man,
I
because there's
know.
still a whole Imperial remnant. Like,
Yeah.
and I do want to say something interesting is that I don't know, Admiral Ray Sloan. I don't know if anyone's heard of this character, but she is one of the big antagonists of the Aftermath trilogy. She plays a major role in reforming the Imperials in the unknown regions. And she is at the Battle of Endor. And when the Death Star gets destroyed, she orders the fleet because she's like one of the highest ranking officers after the Super Star Destroyer is destroyed and after Admiral Piet is killed. Like
Yeah.
she orders a lot of the fleet to withdraw to the Anaj system. So I thought that was a little cool tidbit that they
That's
added
really
in,
cool.
that she's
Yeah.
in the fight.
That's
Just
really,
like supposedly,
really cool.
just like supposedly Rex is also in the fight on Endor.
Yeah. And then doesn't Ray Sloan know Hux, Admiral Hux and his father?
Yeah, she meets Hux as a kid because he's with his father, and his father is just a high-ranking officer as well, or some officer in the Imperial Navy, and they actually travel together to the unknown regions. Yeah,
Really cool.
it's after Admiral Rax is killed, and Rax was trying to eliminate everybody, trying to do the one of the last things the Emperor wanted to do in the event of his death.
So overall, Carlos, I'm sure you would agree. Excellent, excellent film. Incredible.
Yeah. Awesome movie. Love it. I would watch it again. Yeah. So with that, let's move on to our next segment, The Chosen One, where we are going to discuss the MVP of the movie. So who are we thinking, Calvin? Are we thinking Luke, Darth Vader, Yoda, Lando? For sure, Lando. Who are we thinking? Maybe the Wicket, the Ewok.
Yeah, all good questions. And Wicket, you can make a case for Wicket. I mean, hear me out. Hear me out about Lando. So, if Luke had died, if the Emperor was successful, if Vader hadn't saved him, they would have still won, right? Luke would have just been dead, but Lando would have still blown up the second Death Star, and Vader and the Emperor were on that.
That's true. That you cannot get to a shuttle in time from that throne room.
No.
Like there's no way. I was looking at the schematics of the Death Star. You know how far the diameter is?
How far?
Guess. It's miles. Guess.
40 miles?
100 miles.
Oh my goodness. Are you serious?
Yeah, that's
100 miles? That's crazy.
In diameter. Yeah. So just imagine that, everyone. For our West Coast people, that's like driving from Los Angeles to Santa Barbara. For our East Coast people, that's like Washington, D.C. to Baltimore. That's the crazy size and diameter of the Death Star. Anyway, I don't know how you get around.
Yeah.
How you drive around. Like you probably have to take a shuttle to get anywhere because it's just so far. So you're right. If Luke died, and let's say the Vader was wounded or something, they ain't surviving.
No, they're not. There's no way they can get off in time. And that, like, the Emperor had as much, if not more, hubris than Grand Moff Tarkin. So
yeah,
he wasn't about to leave unless he felt the disturbance in the Force and was able to get off quick enough, which we know he wasn't.
Yeah, unless his chair has like a private escape pod, or that he's got like a slide that slides him right into the shuttle. But yeah, there's no way.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that because Lando doesn't get enough credit for destroying the second Death Star.
He really doesn't.
He did have health. He doesn't at all.
He doesn't. Forget. I mean, he and Wedge, because Wedge was part of it too.
True.
They don't.
True.
They don't.
Yeah. Not even a little bit. But no, if I'm being honest, I've got to say probably Luke. I can make a case for Vader too, but I'm sorry. Do you not agree?
I mean, Luke, like the hero of the story. Well, who was the MVP we chose for A New Hope?
I think we chose Luke.
Oh, come on.
Okay, so is it Vader? Oh, I guess I say Vader. Like, despite all the atrocities, he does kill the Emperor.
Yeah,
he
but we
the
also
son.
said Vader and Empire.
That's true because the Empire did strike back,
I'm gonna say the Emperor. No, I'm kidding. I'm not.
bro.
No, you make a good point. Vader. I mean, Vader. Did the best character. He ended the best character arc like that we've seen in Star Wars. Like this is the culmination of 6 movies. But I don't know, man. Lando.
Oh no, man! Like father, like son. Ah, I don't know. I might have to go with our hero
You
of the story, Luke.
you gonna
It's
go
got to
Luke?
be Luke.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you say?
I I don't know. I don't know because I mean Vader did go with the prophecy and killed the Emperor. So
That that's true. He fulfilled his role as the chosen one.
yeah. Well, how
Oh
about we
yeah,
just
he
have
fulfilled his role as the chosen one.
MVPs?
Yeah, well, MVPs. Yes, like Vader is the actual chosen one, and he fulfilled his role as the chosen one in this film.
Yeah,
But then that none of that would have been possible except for Luke. Luke
yeah,
helps. Luke is the key to Vader living into his role as the chosen one.
yeah, yeah. That's true. I would be curious to know if Luke wasn't around. At what point would Vader finally be like, "Enough's enough"?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, I'm gonna seize this empire for myself.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if Luke
That's the
wasn't
what
around,
if I want to see.
yeah, yeah, that'd be good. So yeah, Luke and Vader, father and son,
Yeah,
are the
yeah.
MVPs of the film.
Let's just do that because yeah, and Lando's a consolation.
Now we're going to get into our segment, Encrypted Imperial Transmissions, where we will discuss some of our favorite moments and scenes from the film. So, Carlos, what was your first favorite from the film?
I really thought it was funny in the beginning where Vader's telling Officer Jared, like the Emperor's coming, so hurry up, get your timetable right. I just thought it was funny.
So, so just so you know, Carlos is shaking his head because of what I'm about to say right now. But my first favorite is.
Oh, you're doing a lot right now. You're doing a lot. This is too much.
No, my first favorite is Luke force choking the Gamorrean guards, and I know that we haven't necessarily come to a consensus about what actually happened, but I stand firm. I stand as the young folks say, 10 toes down on the fact that Luke did force choke those Gamorrean guards. So it's just such a dope scene. He walks in and just like barely lifts his hand, is like 1 and then 2, no words. Incredible. And I will say, for a Jedi mind trick, typically you have to actually say something to trick them. But
you do
this
not.
is
I thought he was all powerful, huh? Where's your boy at? Like as the kids say, you capping. All right.
No cap. This is no cap, bro. No cap.
There was no force choke. Well, that's a separate episode. Okay, whatever. You separate like episode. Luke hurting innocent people. I see that. Okay.
Okay, that's a miscontextualization, but go ahead.
All right. My next one, let's get away from that one. My next one is the whole Sarlacc pit fight. I thought is really cool. I like the addition they made in the special edition with the beak coming out of the Sarlacc. Before it was just a big butthole. Like, so it's nice that there's actually a creature coming out, and that's been accepted. Like the whole, like, and you look all the creature books and all that stuff of Star Wars, like that. It makes the Sarlacc look like much cooler. Yeah. So, there was just a lot of little details in that fight that I thought were cool. Like there's a part where the tentacle wraps around one of the weakways or whatever, and it's pulling him, and the beak like swallows him. It's I like that whole thing.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So my next favorite is Luke's final conversation with Yoda. They're just like, Yoda has been around for 900 years, and these are his final moments of being alive on the physical plane of existence. And it's just such an incredibly deep and rich conversation that he has with Luke. And I just love everything about that. We already talked earlier about it, but love that conversation.
Yeah, it's nice when Yoda's like, forever sleep. That's the way of things. Mm-hmm. And I think he said, earned it, I have. Mm-hmm. I like this idea. I like this this kind of attitude he has towards death as being a natural part of life.
Absolutely. And then he also says, twilight is upon me, and soon night must fall. That
Yeah.
is the way of things. It's just so poetic, so incredible.
True master right there.
Yeah.
My last favorite was when Lando and Wedge are flying into the Death Star. It's forever gonna be like one of my favorite scenes of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Is just them flying along the surface of the Death Star and then just kind of banking and flying in. So awesome.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And then my last favorite is all the conversation. I love all the conversations in this film, but I was, gushing about it earlier. Luke's conversation with Vader before going to the Emperor, and you can just see like Luke again. He went from this, as Carlos puts it, an impetuous boy, this farm boy that's like annoying and like leaving before he should, compulsive
distracted
as ever.
Tosche Station.
Exactly. All his life as he looked away to the future, to the horizon, right?
Yeah.
He surrenders himself to Vader. And even when he's talking to Vader one-on-one, most people, Carlos, would be so afraid. They'd be like, oh my goodness, I'm about to die. Like, this is it. Like, it's horrible. But like, Luke seems so calm, so mature, so in control. He's not even worried. He's defenseless. He has his hands cuffed, but he's like talking like so calmly and so smoothly. And I also think that it's an interesting parallel to the level of confidence that Leia speaks to Vader with in the beginning of A New Hope, where Leia's like, hey, Vader. Like, she doesn't care that he's Vader. She's talking to him like, hey. So it's an interesting parallel, but that whole conversation is incredible.
That's interesting too, because like, just looking at it through the context of like the dad with his kids, the dad and his son, there's a little bit more like, hey man, like there's a little bit more like, come on, bro, like, come on, let's get over this issue. Right. And with the daughter, it's like very contentious. Like, you cannot go out tonight. You are not bringing home that guy. You're not taking the car. Like, it's just funny. It just reminds me of like these old school sitcoms when I think of it like that.
That's so true, and I think it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully, we get this as they begin to fill in the gaps from Return of the Jedi to The Force Awakens. I want to see what the conversations between Force Ghost Anakin and Luke were like. And I also want to see what they're like between Anakin and Leia.
Oh, you're talking like 30 years, like years from now when Luke. Oh, you mean while he's still alive or after he dies?
No, while both Luke and Leia are still alive. Just like any kind of like contact they had. Like, what were some of those conversations? And like when Luke is communing in the Force as he's growing in the Force after Return of the Jedi, what are those conversations like? And then we know Leia also gets trained. What are her conversations like with Anakin, right? Like, does she ever get closer? I know in the expanded universe, which is not canon anymore, there's a book called The Truce at Bakura, where it takes place. I don't know if did you read that book?
I didn't read it, but I know what you're talking about. It's like right after.
Yeah, literally right after, like the next day. And Anakin actually shows up to Leia, like for the first time. And, Leia is like, like, I can't get over everything you did. I know, like, you have this with Luke, but I can't even look at you still. Please leave me. So, interesting conversation there. But it'd just be interesting to see what the relationship was like after.
He's like, the younglings forgave me.
Why can't you?
Yeah. She's like, what?
He'll tell, or like he told Ahsoka, he was like, what did he say? How did he say? He was like,
he's like, this again. Oh, you're still mad? Or I don't know.
Yeah, like, bro, that's valid. Yeah. She's valid.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Such a gaslighter.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's crazy, like, Anakin just gets this eternal life, too. It's kind of crazy. And with that, we wrap up another episode of Epic Saga Society.
We hope you enjoyed exploring the Star Wars universe today as much as we did. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast.
Join us next week as we continue our coverage of the Star Wars films. And as we shared at the beginning, we are going in release order. So next episode, we'll be covering Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait for that. So, this is Carlos.
And Calvin.
Signing out from Epic Saga Society.
Stay epic.